What I never wanted to face was that embarrassment of no one wanted to be seen working alongside of me or hiring me, because what did that say about them to hire a washed up, tragic, unstable figure?
Who is a child, who is a literal child.
Dougie, you want to come up?
In the studio, please. We need it quiet, please.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to see you. I can't even take
You
it.
look so beautiful.
By the way, your makeup is
Thank you so much. And you're a makeup professional, I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you.
I love you.
I love you so
I love watching you.
much.
And I love Douglas.
Look who's waiting for you.
Douglas.
Look who's sniffing it out, waiting for his mama Lena.
This is my dream, the fact that Douglas likes to be on the couch with us. It's his happy place.
Wait, I wish you had brought one of your pigs.
I wish I brought one of my pigs too, but you know what? Pigs don't rest as quietly and as thoughtfully as Douglas. They are so noisy. They talk all day.
But you have 4 of them now?
I have 4 of them now, but 2 live inside and 2 live outside.
That's what I heard. I'm your indoorsy,
Yeah,
I'm your outdoorsy.
We have a bit of a polycule going, and they're so fun and funny.
Can I ask you actually where you learned all the words that you know?
I was like that nerdy kid who read the thesaurus for fun. See, I can't pronounce thesaurus.
Me too.
I was like interested in synonyms.
Yes.
While other kids were interested in, I don't know, sports. So but I have a little bit of a problem sometimes, which if I learn a big word, I have to use it all day,
Me too.
that whole day.
And that's how it gets cemented in.
That's exactly right.
And once it's there, it's there.
That's exactly right. It's literally like the only feedback that I could get on a book would be someone being like, you used this word incorrectly, and I would punish myself for days. And I'm sure I did at one point.
Okay, so I'm reading the book right now. I'm not finished. Please don't kill me.
Why would I ever be upset?
Because I wanted to be so perfectly prepared for this. And then I was like, I am not rushing through this, because it became less about wanting to impress you and more about wanting to understand and really take in what it is that you're writing in this book. Because I annotated it.
you.
Oh no,
Your notes
Oh,
are...
they're all over the place.
If you could have told the me that was reading the thesaurus for fun that Drew Barrymore, the woman who I was auditioning to play the younger version of and riding in cars with boys and failing miserably, would be reading my book and making notes, that child would never have worried again.
This is what the book looks like, if the lights can even pick that up. But
this is really beautiful. Drew.
I can't rush through it because I need this. Do you know that I didn't know, I never ask anyone their age because it doesn't matter to me, because their life experience is what's gonna, I was reading this as if you were far older than me.
That's so sweet. I mean, I don't exactly know. I think that you had a big birthday this year, which is the only reason I know.
I'm 51 now.
So cool. What's cooler than being 51?
Are you about to turn 40?
Yes, I am.
That really shocked me, because I was like, no, she's in her 50s and 60s.
I am in my 50s and 60s.
Okay, do you say, I have been saying, I'm gonna find footage just to show you, because I wanna be like, I swore I wasn't lying.
You're never lying.
I can't, I'm incapable of lying.
You can't do it, and that's what's so beautiful about you.
I've been saying that I was born 10, or I was born 40, or I was born just trying to kind of make sense of why I do feel much older than, or older, younger, I should say.
Well, you're an interesting mix, because you've always been an old soul who has a youthful spirit and demeanor, which is like a really amazing combination to be. That's sort of my goal, is to be like you.
Do you think that, I love you, Douglas, but this is keeping me very far away. Do you think that I don't feel like a grown-up still? I'm starting to, but I still feel like a fraud playing house a lot.
I feel that way every day.
You do?
I look around my room and I'm like, this is not what a 39-year-old's room is supposed to. I look around and I'm like, well, there's a stuffed pig, a stuffed bunny, a pile of leggings, and like 3 cups of yogurt. This is not what a 39-year-old's bedroom is supposed to look like.
Well, it definitely could be my bedroom, because there are jars of yogurt on my nightstand.
Thank you.
Because I lose the battle of I shouldn't stuff these in my face right before bed. So,
Why not? And also, I find yogurt very soothing.
well, I just found a new one that I was like, it's okay, this is better than sex. And this is when you know how single you are, when you're excited about a new varietal of yogurt.
It's a Nunos.
Nunos Milk and Honey.
I'm literally gonna go locate it the minute that we leave the studio.
I thought I'd tell you.
Thank you so much. But that, I feel all the time like even if I'm handling adult things, when I was in my 20s, it made sense because I was suddenly in charge of a set and people and a life that be didn't match my age. But now I often feel like if I was in the house of another woman my age, she would be much more together and she would have like a room that made sense for the phase of life that she was in. But I think the cool thing about getting older, and I wonder if you feel this way, is I'm starting to feel like, oh, there's no one way to be an adult.
I need a few people that I might need you to tell that to, if that's okay, like offline.
Yeah, of course.
I have a list of some intimate people in my life that I maybe they'll believe it from you.
But I also maybe need you to then tell my intimate people. Do you know what I mean? Like we can do that as a trade.
I will happily. Can I talk about a few things that...
I'm so honored.
First of all, did you ever hesitate to write a book in this current culture that seems to love to pull a sentence out and write a new book about it that has nothing to do with the book you wrote?
Yes, Drew, I did.
Okay.
I mean, I think the scariest part of putting something into the world is knowing that people are not interested in a contextual reading. Some people are, you are, people that we engage deeply with are, and I am, but I know how many people feel that they have read the book already based on, a listicle of sentences or one headline.
Yeah.
And the thing that I came to, and I wonder if you feel this way, is like, I can only control what I put on the page. And I spent 8.5 years making sure that every sentence was a reflection, not just of what I had felt then, but also of sort of the perspective that I had on it now.
Perspective, I think you could have titled the book Perspective.
I'm glad you feel that way, because there's definitely drafts of the book. Oh, thanks God, I'm finally getting one of those Douglas licks.
Yeah, get in there.
I mean, I saw him licking someone else's hand on the show, and I was jealous. But I think...
Doesn't lick everybody either.
You don't lick
He's
everyone?
a little fickle-lickle.
You really are, but he's so beautiful. He's like a fox.
He is. He's like a little deer, and he loves the hottest sun. He will bake himself
Douglas.
and sun himself like one of those old, leathery 70s people that didn't know about the ozone.
Just when we think the world is really going to hell in a handbasket, as my grandma would say, you realize we have Douglas, and so someone is looking down on us.
Exactly.
But the thing that I came to was that if I could only control what I put on the page, that it was the most it had the most self-examination, that it was, even though it will only ever be my perspective, that it was the least one-sided version. And then what people do with that, I can't control, and part of the book is about realizing I could never control it.
The irony is when you're reading this book, it is about perspective. It is about how it feels.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you feel, I do, strongly, that famesick through this book will actually become a very helpful and important and prominent word in the vernacular, and I'll dare say it, zeitgeist, which is one of the more pompous and undesirable terms, but I do think it encapsulates the vastness of how I think this term could reach people, because now with social media, everyone has the opportunity to get famesick and might actually, I think your book is so educational.
That means so much to me, because you are one of the people who I thought, when I found out I was going to get to come and be with you here, I
Oh
thought,
my God, I've been waiting for months. The stance card has been just vibrating.
But I felt, I don't know everything about, I only know the parts of your life that you've shared with us. But what you have shared is like, you went through that, and you went through that at an age where you're already adolescent sick, confused, don't know how to exist with other kids, much less adults. And so and I think one of the things that I hope that the book would say is that, like, people, especially women who are put in this position, are so set up to fail because it's not even just thrown to the wolves, you're thrown into a situation where your highest value is your likability.
Yes.
And your ability to generate attention.
Yes.
A lot of that is male attention. And if you're not getting male attention, what you do with that. And then no matter who you are inside, the most important things about you become your worst moments and what you look like. And those are the two things that none of us should really be defined by.
I realized watching the sickness of the vanity of this particular industry, which again has all the bearings in the world now of the world at large.
Totally. And at one point it was like, you know, there were all those songs, like I feel like every Red Hot Chili Pepper song was like, she went to Hollywood and she changed. And it used to be this place that you went and sort of you went down the rabbit hole, but now everyone's living room can be the rabbit hole.
Yes.
Everyone's high school can be the rabbit hole.
Yes, and it always was.
And it used to also be that the sort of all the machinations of beauty that were available to celebrities were not available to people at home. So there wasn't an expectation that a girl who was working in a store in the Midwest would look like a woman that you saw on television, but all of that's been collapsed.
It's go to your local med spa, and you too can get direction of how to truly alter yourself. And that was the messages being given to every woman I was around, and even in my own house.
Yeah.
Of this job requires looking a certain way.
Well, I remember sort of what all of the, I mean, I felt it, but I know that the other girls felt it too, which is it was all of our first jobs. And so, you know, at first we were showing up like in whatever party dress that we had at home, and we couldn't believe that someone was professionally doing our makeup. And by the second season, you're thinking about parts of your body that it never occurred to you to even contemplate, because we've made the mistake of, you know, excitedly going to our comments because we want to know what people think of the work that we're doing. And what we find out is what they think about the crinkle in our armpit. Or I remember people saying, Lena certainly has enough money to fix her teeth, so like, what is she doing? And
look at our teeth.
Your teeth are, I have that same snaggle tooth.
And me too, I recognize it in you and I love it.
It was me refusing to wear my retainer. And my grandfather was a dentist, so he was very serious about the retainer. And the rebellion you could have against Grandpa Sam was to not wear your retainer. But we love you, Grandpa Sam. Thank you for being an orthodontist in heaven. But I remember thinking, okay, so the assumption is that if you have the money to fix your teeth, you should. Or if you have the money, I remember someone saying something to me a few years ago when I was going through some health stuff and my body was changing about sort of, well, it's not like you can't afford to go on GLP-1s. Like the assumption is that you can, if you can afford it, you should do it. Not that you're like, I cherish this because it's a part of who I am. And I don't judge anyone who does something, who does something that they want to do because it makes them feel better in their body.
Life is short, more power to you.
We gotta figure out how to walk in some peace on this earthly plane. But that being said, I don't think any of us can distinguish whether we're doing it. People say, I did this for myself, but how do we know anymore?
Oh my God, that question's gonna haunt me for a while. I did this for myself, ellipses.
Ellipses, but it's like you did it for yourself after seeing X number of women who did it and got the response that we all think we're supposed to have.
I was 14 when I got emancipated and moved out on my own.
Yeah.
And
can you believe now that you have kids what that age sounds like?
No, but weirdly, my daughter, her next age will be 14, and the good news is I know she would be okay.
That's amazing.
So when I was 14 and I started living on my own, I wasn't getting hired, and I had sort of burned every bridge, even though I never screwed up at work. It was all my doing, all my life. That's what fell apart.
But what's interesting is that there's a lot of space for male actors to screw up outside of work and then show up, and if they're on time, even if they're not on time, it's fine.
Yes.
But if you're a woman, whatever is happening, or if you're a woman, if you're a queer person, if you're a person of color, anyone who doesn't fit the kind of central narrative of what Hollywood has always been built around, you are told, like, don't create any drama, even if it's your drama.
Yeah.
Even if it's drama that you never asked for because it's coming to your door. Like, don't be a problem.
Oh my God, I'm having such an aha moment.
But I'm so excited.
You just gave it to me. I never thought about.
Like, even what you just said, where you were like, it was my screw-ups, it was my doing, but it wasn't at work. Like, that broke my heart because I'm like, it wasn't your doing. You didn't do that.
Well, I think what I never wanted to face was that embarrassment of no one wanted to be seen working alongside of me or hiring me, because what did that say about them to hire a washed up, tragic, unstable figure?
Who is a child, who is a literal child. Like, your daughter is gonna be okay because you raised her. But if she was being raised in chaos, working in a business and being told these stories about herself, she would also, and the idea that you could be washed up, tragic, and unhirable at 14, like after I messed up my audition for Riding in Cars with Boys because I cut my bangs too short and then told Penny Marshall that I didn't say my name on command. And my mom was like, heard like, you know, she didn't get the part. And I remember she told me and I laid down in bed and I was like, my career is over. And my parents thought it was so funny because they thought like, you're 12, you just came back from a break from sleepaway camp to do this. But these feelings that we have, like, and imagine all of that magnified by puberty. I hope that you do give yourself grace because like the life that you've built is so incredible and it's all about your perspective and it wouldn't exist if all of that hadn't existed.
Coming from you, it means something different to me. It just does. I feel like you and I have had to make these big decisions that involve so many other people, and there is so much on the line. And the one thing Hollywood does not know how to do is not turn everything into life and death.
My father always says this thing, like, because my parents are both artists, where he'll say, yeah, I'm having a stressful thing with the frame's not ready for my painting, but there are no art emergencies. We're not emergency room doctors, we're not teachers, but Hollywood, I remember the first time I had to take...
Doesn't know that. It thinks that it is literally the cadaver is on the table, and if you don't have those EKGs out,
if you don't have those whatever those pumps that bring your heart...
No, you're right. EKG is the heart monitor.
The paddles. We're taking the paddles to the chest.
I know the name. I'm going to remember.
You're going to remember it
point.
because you're...
Defibrillator.
You're so good. You did it. It's like you won a spelling bee. But the thing that I was going to say is, like, I remember the first day I had taken insurance day, and I had been so sick for so many months, and there was just one day where I couldn't do the job. And I remember just what a hubbub it was, like how many people it had to go up the line before I could just go, hey guys, I'm sick, I've got to go home.
I wish someone could come in and do the job for me that day, but I guess we won't match each other.
Yeah, that's the issue.
That's it.
But do you also, there's also that dreaded term that they love to throw around, uninsurable.
Yes.
Which is, and I was also told in no uncertain terms that if people found out that I was dealing with a chronic health condition, that could also be an insurance issue.
Yep.
But what's wild is that once I sort of stepped into my inner boss and went, okay, let's get to the bottom of what's actually going on here, there's always a way. It's just that I think that the business really wants to train you to do it the way that's going to be the most convenient for everyone involved. And so what is an amazing thing about my life now is like my business partner, Michael, and the people that I work with, they know my strengths and my weaknesses. They know I'm not hiding anything. And they still want to work with me because we have a fun time and we make things that we love and we figure it out. And that feeling of not having everything be ramped up, like think about how many people have gone, I've got to step away from this business because everything's ramped up to 1,000 and I can't handle it. And how many, the beginning of my book is dedicated to all of these people who have, died in different, not all of them have necessarily died even still in the business, but that it seems like their death is directly connected to sort of this idea of fame sickness. And I think about how many of those people we might still have around if Hollywood had figured out a gentler way, and like how much genius and how many voices and how many people's light gets stamped out. And even for you, I wonder how much of you, I know that acting is not your main, you get to do this and it's beautiful and you get to like make people feel seen and sit on the couch and be your beautiful, cozy self with Douglas. But how much of your relationship to acting, like the joy was really taking it out of it for you, wasn't it?
I just felt, especially when I got pregnant, when I got pregnant, I was in like a gentle pre-production, if you will, to direct a film.
Wow.
And because
I love your first movie with it.
I can't believe you've even taken the time to see it.
Of course, I watched in the theater.
How do you ever feel about, like, I am dying to do like a new cut of it because I have perspective now?
I think, I mean, there's that whole thing of like, you know, a work of art is never finished. It's just handed to its next location. Part of why I haven't rewatched Girls, even though my friends are rewatching or my family's rewatching, is because I go, all I would see are the mistakes of someone who's learning, and the things that they don't see would mortify me. Like I would notice every time I used a word wrong, and my perspective would embarrass me.
And one of the things that really affected me was something that I failed miserably at, that you point out for people to take inventory of the wins.
Yeah.
The little victories, the happy moments, the feeling of hopefulness or potential or possibility. I feel like I spent every minute of my life then so flipped out about the next move.
But what you had was you had a desire to make things because you're an artist, an understanding that each thing leads to the next thing, and you had a bajillion adults relying on you. So how can you not freak out about the next move?
The way you talk about the freakouts in life and the pressure in this book feels so universal to me. And what upset me the most was relating so much to, I can't be sick. I have to be well and I have to go to work. And my sickness is everyone else's inconvenience.
Yeah.
I'm wasting time, I'm wasting money, I'm upsetting people.
I'm making them angry and soon they're gonna stop. My thing, exactly what you're saying, and I was like, I'm sick and it's not just a cold. Like this isn't, until I acknowledge it, it's not going away. But to actually deal with it would involve stepping away for a minute. There would be no other way.
Like when your dad came to get you in LA.
Yeah.
Which just knowing him the way you wrote him, I could see that it was a rare thing for him. He's not an alarmist or a drama person.
Not at all. He's a very attentive parent, and to this day, he would certainly come and get me, even though I try to put him in less situations where he might have to. And sometimes I do have to remind him, like, I'm going to be 40 this year. I've been sober for almost a decade. You do not have to come and retrieve me. I've got this. But he came, I had a moment in LA. It was just before Girls was about to premiere and we were writing the second season. And I'd had a few sort of very adult traumatic experiences right in a row, coupled with, and I think the stress of those really kind of was the gasoline that lit the fire of my illness. And I remember calling him one day and he could just hear my tone of voice. It was like feeble and absent. I was very dissociated. And he just went, I'm getting on an airplane. And there's still that feeling, when my father does that, I still remember what it's like when he used to pick me up from like a sleepover I didn't want to be at. And I would sort of see my father coming through the door in like the bottom of his camel overcoat and hear his voice. And I just go, oh, thank like I get to get out of here. I don't have to pretend that I want to play this, game of truth or dare. I don't have to watch this movie that is not the kind of movie I like, because I like movies from the 40s. I get to go home and then like getting in whatever, getting on the subway with my father and just like melting into him. And I remember him walking through the door of my LA apartment. It was like time collapsed and I might as well have been a 7-year-old at a bad sleepover. And it was it was a great moment of love. But what makes me sad is that I didn't see that and go, okay, this is what matters, is to go home to my family and take care of myself. I wasn't able to internalize the lesson. And so I repeated that same thing many times, and it was unhealthy for me and it was painful for my family. And that's what really, if I have any regrets, it's the times that my family felt scared.
I think, how could you have known too? If you're giving me that grace, like, how do we know? Don't we I think
don't-
it's the unfortunate truth of my life that I don't learn without a lot of mistakes along the way. And then it like maybe clicks and that's really exciting and I grow, but it doesn't land on the lap and it doesn't come through osmosis. It comes through mistake, application, hard work, perspective, radical choice, breaking patterns and cycles, liberating yourself from your own mental jail of like, I can't get better because I'm so broken.
That was the story for so long, and I remember feeling like I was standing in a cage and I had the key, but I just didn't quite know how to put it in the lock. Like, it's a thing where you're like, I understand what I'm supposed to understand, and yet I still don't understand it.
Do you think that you would like, because I would fool myself by professionally saying, I'm going to work all the time, and therefore, like, my major problem, it won't be a factor because I'm getting to work.
That was so much of the book is me thinking, because I had this engine of the show, and that was my highest calling, and that's what I'd always wanted to do with my life. And so I was like, as long as this is coming out okay, and it seems like it is, like as long as this isn't suffering, then, and I literally I had gotten girls and been lucky enough to be given another job by a very high-powered producer, and I had a lot happening, and I actually remember
The Scott Rudin
story.
I so relate to that because if someone is angry with me, I feel so in trouble. I got thrown into a mental institution and taken away by guys in the coats, and I still think they're coming.
How could you not? If they came once, I still think they're coming and they've never come for me.
Okay, do you think, like, I haven't had a drink in almost 7 years. I still think my friends are gonna show up and be like, dude, what's going on with you? And I think I have it together now, but I'm still convinced.
The amount of times I say, if I'm upset, I go, but you should know I'm completely fine and I'm not going to do anything strange. And my husband's like, I didn't think you were gonna do anything strange.
I still call my friends and ask if this is a real dinner or an intervention. And they're like, are you crazy?
It makes so much sense to me, but also it's not paranoia as much as once you've identified with yourself as like the problem child, the crazy girl, the one who can't get it together. That is a really hard story to get rid of.
Okay.
And it has been for me. And even the funny thing is I was showing up to work every day. I was being told a lot by grown-ups that I was doing an amazing job. And to me that, you know, I was a kid who always wanted to please grown-ups. I didn't really care how other kids felt about me, as long as like my teacher thought I was funny and wrote a good book report. Mm-hmm. And so I think that part of me felt like, okay, I'm getting away with it. And part of me wished someone would go, you're really sick physically. It's making you mentally sick. You need to go get it together. It's almost like I was waiting for someone to notice and no one ever did.
See, I put in here, I would circle things like broken and must work.
But what's so wild is like, now if someone was to be like, define Drew Barrymore for me, I would be like a cozy sweetie who loves animals and makes people feel good about themselves.
Reading your book was like the first time I felt like somebody understands what it's like to live in the anxiety of fear of your downfall. Even if it's so far away, it still feels so close.
It always feels close, and what's so fascinating to me is like, I was 24 when girls started shooting. That's 10 years older than you were when you were allowed to proclaim yourself an adult. And even at 24, I was such a child. I mean, I still lived with my parents when the show started. I was a very late bloomer. I was a very late bloomer romantically. I mean, let's not say romantically, sexually. I wasn't having any romance at this point in my life. But I was a very late bloomer. I was in some ways kind of precocious and in some ways very naive.
I love how you talk about the people that you gave your body to.
Yeah.
I would do the same thing. It was like healing and fun. It was like a way to feel accepted. It was hedonistic and I enjoyed
Totally.
it.
It's a way that you can kind of, like drinking or using drugs, it's a way to disappear. Like sexuality is sex and sexual experiences are something that you can just kind of fold into and roll into, and for a little while you're not yourself.
And give away all your power, but like never feel more powerful at the same time.
Yep. And to feel affirmed, for me, like there was a lot of that. Like I look back and I was laughing because I was like, I think the uniting factor of pretty much every man I dated until I met my husband was, well, if he's attracted to me, that seems like it'll work. Like if he thinks that, and also especially once there was so much dialogue about what my body looked like and how sort of unacceptable it was, if someone was showing me like pure heterosexual attention, that to me was like the greatest drug of all.
And you have a healthy relationship with your dad.
We all have father things, but
The
I know
archetypal
plenty.
father.
We all have the father, but we all have it. But I think we put too much stock in the idea that our romantic relationships are us sort of like it's very like kind of old and Freudian to be like, my romantic relationships are me enacting stuff with my dad or me enacting stuff with the male authority figures. Yes, that's there. It's there for people, but it's also like what you've gotten from society, what you've gotten from other kids at school, what you've gotten in the workplace if you're a young person in the workplace. Like for you, it must have been a way to feel power because you had all these men bossing you around.
Oh my God. See, this is why I'm so obsessed with your book. You're helping me realize things. Oh my God. Oh my God. I think for me, having sex was also a way to feel like an adult.
How can it not be?
Because it didn't make sense that my life was so, that I'd experienced so many things.
Yeah.
And, you know, basically already been washed up by 13. You just go, okay, well, this is it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have sex till later. Of all the things I rushed, that wasn't one of them.
And I think that's beautiful. I didn't rush it. I didn't rush that either.
Ugh, I know, and it's so interesting the way you spoke about sex was the most understandable female experience that I had read in as long as I can remember. One of my favorite chapters where you discuss your relationship with Mr. Jack Antonoff is a chapter like every other chapter in your book where I couldn't say this chapter is about this. That chapter is about so many things.
I'm so glad that you liked that chapter because something that was so nice about writing that chapter was I'd been in all these kind of naughty, hedonistic relationships, and I just met like a really sensitive, kind, smart person. And when you're, 25, you don't know how young you are, so you think like, this is it. We're going to be together for the rest of our lives. Like, this is our shield against the storm. And then
Us two against the world.
us two against the world.
It seemed like you two had that tone of you had found each other, two brilliant people.
He's really brilliant.
And so are you. And
Thank
so
you.
it was like, oh, that tracks, that they like each other. That makes sense. And that's so cool. And it was really fun to watch from afar. And then what I would see, in images or moments that are just images and moments. It's not the whole picture, but there was such a goodness in your tone that you guys had.
I'm so glad you felt that, and writing the book was a really great reminder of that, because sometimes then, I think, of course, there are lots of factors that end a relationship, and most people don't end up with the person that is their first serious boyfriend.
Yes.
Like, for me, really was like my first true boyfriend. And
which, reading your book, I really understand now.
And so when it sort of, and I think there were aspects of the public eye that really, and also both of our careers that really sped up and changed, sped up the end, changed the dynamic. And then when it was over, I was like, oh, everyone breaks up with their boyfriend. Why am I the only person who can't get over this? Like, I cannot seem to move. And I write in the book about saying like, now it's hard for me to imagine the person who couldn't move past it, but I know that she was there. And the thing that I realized was that not only was it just my first love, but also having this person who was so smart and so bright and so shiny and sort of like, the cool boy at the center of the room that everyone wanted to talk to, think that I was okay, felt like no matter what anyone said about me, and I think so many women feel this way, whether they're in the public eye or not, which is that if a certain kind of man chooses them, it's validation.
There is so much to ascertain and to hold on to as a roadmap of, I don't understand the word people pleasing, and it's starting to turn on me. Like, you are a person who's pretending that you're the victim when it's actually you doing it all along.
Well, I saw this like meme of some sort. I think that's what we call it. I'm so
I
old that I
love
don't know.
memes.
I saw a meme that said, "Oh, you're a people pleaser. Name 3 people that you've pleased." Because like the desire to show up for everybody, do everything, it's actually like this kind of grand manipulation, which I remember once my father, I was like having some, again, he comes in with the knowledge. My mom's really wise too, but sometimes my dad drops these truth bombs. So I was just gonna say they're both very wise, but sometimes he gets more truth bombs in the book just because they're shorter. But he's
Succinct is so sexy.
He's
I'm a
pithy.
long-winded bag.
Me too.
Pithy, yeah.
Me too. I came from the long-winded side of the family, and he's like the wasp with the pithy quotes.
Yeah.
And I remember him just saying like, "You got to cut this out. It's so manipulative." And I was like lying in a ball on the bed crying, and I'm like, "I'm manipulating you?" Like, it was so scandalous to me. And again, now looking back, I know exactly what he meant, which is that you think that the world is happening to you. And there's a line that I say in the book where I say like, rehab doesn't happen to you, you happen to rehab.
Yes.
Because I was like, how did I get here? Why is this happening to me? And then one day I was like, this isn't happening to me. I came in here with like a storm cloud of stuff around me and totally killed whatever vibe was happening before I arrived.
If you think that like social media, the industry life can lead to fame sick,
Yeah.
which again is, I want to say on record that I have been fame sick so much in my life.
Yeah.
And I thank God that you've put a word to it.
Well, you came from a family that had congenital fame sickness. So how were you ever
Till the
going to get?
From the 1700s, all of
From
them
the 1700s.
hoofing on stage and theater and radio and then film. It's absolutely.
I mean, no one has a story like yours from the 1700s. Like, it's like those families that are like, we've been making the same socks in the same factory, only your export was being shiny.
And it's the same thing. It is an export and a family business, but I think one of the things that I'm loving so much about your book is how much it is instilling and reminding and infiltrating me to stay on my mission that I'm working very hard on with my therapist, Barry Michaels.
We love Barry Michaels. We live for Barry Michaels. I used to see Phil Stutz when I was in Los Angeles. So
Tools.
we've done the tools. By the way, like I've met my shadow self, and she's basically 14 and 13 and auditioning for Riding in Cars with Boys. Like, she's like, please like me, please like me, please like me.
Mine is literally best friends with yours. Her name is Grace. And
So cute.
what your book is showing me is that the work I've been trying to do, and it's on the precipice of clicking.
Yeah.
I'm like on the white cliffs of Dover, ready to plunge.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
I loved it.
The plunge is to believe that I am not a bad person for saying no.
It's everything.
Your book is helping me because that is a very grand umbrella statement. I mean it as a way to stay healthy.
That's
because
exactly it.
if fame sick is real, not being able to say no or not understanding what a true boundary is, there's something sick there.
There is, and I think one of the things about sort of celebrity is that you kind of get into this mindset where you think, if I step off the treadmill, if I don't consider to continue to put myself in these situations, my fear was always like, I'm going to be forgotten about, and then I'm not going to be able to make this work anymore because I cared so much about what I was doing professionally. But then, of course, it stops being about what you're doing professionally, and it starts being about trying to like feed the meter of this avatar that actually isn't even you. Like,
and how you talk about how every Sunday became about meeting with everyone who needed time or advice or a moment with you. And the way that you saw it was, I'd like to extend myself. If I have an opportunity to be there for someone else the way someone was for me, I will be there. Count me in. Oh, you said you needed something? How high? How quick can I be
do?
there?
But my thought was, at the time, I thought, how high, how quick, I'll be there. But it never clicked for me that but being there at the expense of my own physical, emotional health. Like, I think you're this way too. I'm a person who needs a lot of time alone and to feel recharged. And during my 20s, I had like 20 minutes alone at night at best because I was on set all day. And then on the weekend, I wanted to get to see my family. Then I wanted to make sure that none of my friends forgot about me. Then I wanted to make sure that everyone who had sent me an email asking for something during the week had it. And my mindset became, if I can just get out of bed and get through the day without anyone getting mad at me, and then back into bed. And my true joy became like when I will be able to crawl back under my covers, because that's the moment that I'm alone with myself. But at that point, you don't even like yourself anymore. So you're like, being alone with myself under the covers isn't as fun as it used to be.
Yes, this carcass was the worst place to be, which is why I would drink myself right out of it.
I can only imagine. And
I liked being alone, but not with me.
I don't know if you feel this way, but I've really empowered the people that are closest to me. Like my best friend Russell's backstage right now. Shout out to Rusty, my business partner Michael, my amazing assistant Mia, who's like has a much better brain than I do and a much cooler outfits. And all of those people know me really well, and they know that my desire will always be, okay, somebody wants or needs something. Well, if I can do it, I'll do it. Or, you know, there's an event that it would be helpful and there's a, you know, good charitable goal. All right, I'll be there. And I kind of have empowered them to tell me when my instincts are wrong, because I've gone, okay, for whatever reason, I was not born with a set of boundaries, and I have to learn.
Well, and our job requirement is to lose them.
Well, that's the thing.
You even talk in the book about a way that I've lived my life, which is in the sake of art, we do crazy things and then get applauded for that crazy. So what is that narrative? That's telling us, hey, the crazier the better, the wilder, the more free.
Yeah.
You took your clothes off. How wonderful. You cried.
Yeah.
You screamed and tore your hair out and cut and bled on the set. Great. You're like, it's so confusing.
It's so
no one's like, you know
confusing.
what you did today was you protected yourself.
That's
not happening at work.
When I work with young actors, I mean, I was working with the amazing Bella Ramsey on Catherine Culberry, who was like, I don't know, Bella had a cold. And they were like, well, we'll just get through the next few scenes. And I was like, no, we won't. You're gonna go home and you're gonna go to bed because you're 17 years old and you should not be out walking around a British castle in the mud with a cold. And that's who I always try to be as a boss, is someone who's like, you're not hurting us. Actually, we're better if you're healthy. And I don't, you know, the book is not about blaming the adults who are around me or saying that they were doing exactly what the business told them to do. And I also was not saying to them, I'm not okay. Because I thought if I said to them, I'm not okay, they would go, we bought this defective toy, we're gonna put it back in the box, we're gonna put it on the shelf. So they can only work with the information that I'm giving them.
The defective toy, I so get that. I
like,
love that analogy.
I mean, if Hollywood is the land of misfit toys, then like, if we're, oh, he likes this.
Oh,
Douglas.
we're getting two-timed.
I know, Douglas.
That's a new
You've
one.
got beautiful eyes.
That's a new one, because
And
you
you
know
love
how
your
good
mom.
she is. And you know how good she is. You can feel her energy.
Thank
To
you.
know that you are helping teach someone at any age how to protect themselves. I mean, there is a real self-help book in here. Massive.
I'm glad.
You've worked so hard on yourself.
I mean, we're like you, there's a lot that is still waiting to click.
Oh my
and there's a
God.
lot that I'm figuring out. And there's a lot that I'm figuring out just through the process of going out with this book and talking about it. Like I was worried it might feel a little bit like I'm kind of, you know, doing an autopsy on myself, but actually like revelations come. But something I also will always say, if I ask a friend a favor, or if I ask a friend for help, or if I ask them to be part of a creative project, I go, I would be just as delighted if you said no, like, please feel comfortable practicing your no on me, because this is a safe place to do it. Like, I'm not gonna be wounded. I'm not gonna go back into my house and decide that like your no is a reflection on how you feel about me.
I'm a place to practice your no.
You can practice it on me anytime.
40 is such a juicy age. You have the wisdom and experience, but you have time. Also, you could not be being more prolific right now. I'm tracking your every move. I do, because I'm like that
So
guy.
sweet.
I love knowing Especially
so
like,
sweet.
I'm always watching everything you do. I cannot, Natalie Portman just came here and I was like, if you don't think that like I will be begging you. I watched
She's such a dream girl.
I'm so excited for your movie together.
And we're doing a Drew Barrymore rom-com in the tradition of great Drew Barrymore rom-coms, which is always what I'm aspiring to. I'm always aspiring to Flower Films levels.
Oh my God, it's so funny because I always admired your bold bite that I think I was making movies in a way and at a time that might not have had that bite, but that was okay. That was different genre.
I think you'd be surprised by some of the statements that you made.
In real life, I wouldn't be surprised. On film, I feel like you have found a tone that you have always embodied. It's almost like we can't get away from ourselves. We are who we are.
And we sort of write the same story again and again our whole life. And one thing that's nice about this book
Hopefully
is
it's our truth.
I was texting with one of my dear friends this morning, and I just said like, I didn't know if writing the book would dredge a lot up, but I actually feel that by closing that book, I literally closed the book on a bunch of old narratives that I had about myself. And the point wasn't, I want everyone else to reconsider me. The point was like, can I move through the next 40 years of my life with a different story about who like Lena Dunham is? And that feels like it gave me that, and I couldn't ask for anything more. Like I think being 40 is so cool. I've had a few friends go, oh, that was such a hard birthday for me. But I didn't ever have an identification with being, I think it's easier if you're like, and I wonder how this was for you, because you were also so kind of looked at as this kind of cool, young, gorgeous dream girl, which you still are. But I never had an identification with myself.
Talk about wasting that opportunity of joy. Go on.
I
never celebrated those wins.
Well, my mom recently said to me, I looked at a picture of her when she was like 27, and I was like, you are breathtaking. Like, I can't even, you're still breathtaking, but like this girl. And I go, you were so beautiful, Mommy. And she goes, no one ever told me. She's like, what? She was like, I didn't know. No one ever told me. And I was like, I'm looking at her and she looks like she's like in a Prada campaign sitting on her bed. So I don't know if any of us ever know, but I do know that Hollywood forces some people to have an extreme identification with their physical body.
Yes.
And actually the combination of chronic illness and being told so often that I didn't fit the norm kind of released me from that. Part of the reason people tune in and watch you is because they go, I feel that you are me. Like you're beautiful and glamorous and obviously have better clothes than any of us, but your forehead moves.
I love that you also have shared that it hasn't been easy or comfortable, because the people who are like, I don't care, there's an anger and a lack of vulnerability there that I don't relate to.
I think if someone is going, their response is like, if you have something to say about me, you can kiss my ass. That's another way of just saying, this hurts. Like,
yes.
We're all finding the way.
Yes.
But a lot of people didn't grow up in houses. Like, I'm lucky that I grew up in a house where you could just toddle up to your parents and say, that really hurt my feelings. And someone would be like, I'm sorry. And so that's one gift that I was given, was I was never afraid to say, my feelings are hurt. And it's okay to have your feelings hurt. Like I always say, if somebody that I love is if I've inadvertently upset them and they share it with me and they feel self-conscious, I'm like, in what world would I not want to know? And in what world would we not want to repair that? And this book is sort of like me repairing it with myself, because the person that I had to forgive more than anyone was me for how much self-abandonment I did.
This is why I relate so much to you.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that we've maintained an ability to stay where we want to be, to have some longevity, to have the privilege of doing a job we are crazy about, clearly.
Which you've been now doing for
50 years.
50 years.
I started at 11 months. Now I'm 50.
And now I'm like, at first I went, well, they're going to kick me out any minute. Now I go, you know what? I've been doing this for almost 2 decades. Like, I'm going to figure out some way to keep rocking.
You are literally continuing to ascend. I not only want to find joy and peace with that, I'd like to actually be all the more open and colorful about it. That, to me, I can see it so clearly in you, and I can't always see myself because we just don't have that objectivity sometimes. But you always encourage me to just fight to be myself. And that, to me, is what we should all be doing for each other. I love a little rebellion. Puritans don't make sense to me. I'm too dirty and weird and freaky for that.
Me too. I have rabbits that run around my house and pigs that push. My rebellion is just like leaning all the way in to like post-40 female eccentricity. And
I have a lot of animals too. I have a bearded dragon and 2 parakeets. And I did have a snake. Well, I had 3 or 4 snakes. Long story.
We had a bearded dragon in our show too much, and her name was Chloe.
They live a long time.
She's since passed on from this world, but she was a beautiful girl, and I went and visited her
They're
afterwards.
Great. You did?
Yeah, with her owner, Mark Amy, who runs Mark Amy Zoo in London, because I always make friends with the animal wrangler. It's the person you got to know.
How'd you know it was a girl?
I said, tell me about this dragon, and he said her name was Chloe, and then he said that she was having some health issues because if they don't have a partner, when every month they lay eggs, it kind of clogs up their system, and they have to go to the vet every month to get their eggs degunked. And I said to Chloe, I had to get that too, so I relate to you. And I felt like Chloe maybe was dealing with similar issues.
I'm gonna go home tonight and ask Jeremy what we're bonding on.
Jeremy's his name?
Well, we don't know.
But Jeremy's
Amy
neutral. Sedaris had a bunny named Tina, and Tina turned out to be a boy, and that's just Tina's physical body.
Yeah.
You know, the rest. So Jeremy's spirit, and the container. Who cares?
That's what my dad always used to say. This is Tupperware, man. You're a driver, and I really relate to the pressures that you feel, the opportunities that you take, the leadership that you have in you, the caretaker that you have evolved into for other people and yourself. I love when you write about love in ways that I can't describe. You will turn a setting into a French movie and you know exactly where to end, which is an art. If I could just have the word or concept edit in my life, it would behoove me to know end.
Well, I'll tell you, my late great friend, David Carr, who I talk about in the book, who was an incredible writer, he always said to me, honey, write your last sentence, then delete it. Because if you always, especially if you're someone who is, as you said, if you're an over talker, not an under talker, you always get there and then go a little too far. Oh. And so every time I finish something, I hear him going, honey, write your last sentence, then delete it. And I feel like David's spirit compelling me to delete my last sentence. So that's the trick for you.
Okay, well then maybe I might dare, since David gave such good wisdom that now I'm gonna follow. I love it. And again, this is what I need to hear right now. Like, I really do.
You can text me anytime and I'll tell you. I won't tell you what you need to hear in a people-pleasing way.
Of course not.
But I will repeat affirmations, because I think sometimes, like, I don't know if you find this, because we all grow into ourselves. So anyway, I can help you with a blocking curriculum.
Also, I just want to be able to text you again.
I can't wait.
It's been too long, and I love you so much.
I love you too, and this conversation will really stay with me for a long time.
Your book is going to, like, keep me on a right track.
That means so much to me. If someone could have told the 7th grader and then told the me that was writing it and was scared that you would underline passages, I would have gone, this will be fine.
Thank God you wrote this book. Thank God you wrote this book. I love it so much. And I cannot wait. Will you, like, oh my God, I'm so excited for your next film.
And thank you, Douglas.
Douglas,
oh
wow, he's going right in there now.
I hate to hook up and run, Douglas, but you are an icon.
Dougie's like, it was good for me, and you do you.
I love you.
I love you so much. Thank you.